after that dramatic day. The Judicial Selection Committee bill was put on the table this morning, angering some opposition figures, but is it a technicality? What is going on?
Yeah, I think too much is actually being made out of this, Benita. Basically, just to explain to viewers, this is the bill had passed in the morning through the committee and was headed to its final votes on the floor. And as a procedural matter, the bill is in a sense taken from the committee and put on the table, on the desk of the Knesset floor, from which it can be picked up, put on the agenda, so to speak, and then voted on. And it is a technical procedure in the process of most Knesset laws, if not all Knesset laws, that's how the process is done, and it went through that process. What it means as a practical matter is procedurally, the coalition at any time it wants can just simply add this bill to the agenda for the plenum, which meets twice a week, just to put it on there a few hours before the plenum starts, and then it can be voted on. So in principle, the coalition could pull a fast one, right? Next week, let's say, during the last day of the session, or immediately once the session resumes after the Passover recess, they could simply, without consulting with anyone, and as a kind of surprise attack, just put this on the agenda and put it up for a snap vote. It's there. There's nothing in the Knesset procedure to stop them. But why is too much being made out of this? Because at the end of the day, the opposition has built up enough deterrence to stop this. Everyone understands full well that if the coalition were to do that, there would be a repeat of yesterday, okay, if not more so. And the opposition, I think, has very much demonstrated its capacity to bring people out in the streets, to bring the country to the halt. If the coalition oversteps, I think that would certainly be seen as an overstepping. By the way, also, it has to be said, the opposition didn't negotiate for this. This wasn't one of the conditions. The condition was stopping the legislation. That condition has been met. And so there isn't really much more to negotiate for. And at any rate, I think enough deterrence has been established, to say the least, in order to stop this from happening. And that means that Yair Lapid and Benny Gantz, the two opposition leaders, simply put out a terse statement saying, if that were to be done, we would simply walk out of the negotiating room. They put a period at the end of the sentence, but I think everybody understands what comes after that period.
And perhaps it also speaks to the skepticism that clearly exists across the political spectrum right now about the situation unfolding. What is being made, Owen, of the fact that the opposition teams are confirmed, but the Likud has yet to submit its names?
Right. Well, first of all, both Benny Gantz and his National Unity Party and Yair Lapid then and his Yesh Atid party, again, as you mentioned, to put forward their list of their negotiating teams for the process of the president's residence. There's just one problem. Prime Minister Netanyahu, in his speech last night, didn't say anything about the president's residence, right? He said he was coming for dialogue, but he didn't say where. He didn't say when, of course, happening during the Passover recess during the course of the next 2 weeks, but didn't say where. It was Benny Gantz who started to mention the president's residence, followed by Yair Lapid. Why does this matter? Well, again, don't forget that just a few weeks ago, it feels like a lot longer than that, President Isaac Herzog put his president's compromise on the table in a speech to the nation that had a huge buildup. We certainly carried it here live in I-24 News, and was rejected out of hand by the government and by the right-wing camp. So there might be some concern on their part to go back to Isaac Herzog. So again, the classic negotiation process, negotiating about the negotiation, again, as you mentioned, shows how many obstacles there are to overcome to get to some kind of deal.
And following all the developments on the negotiations around the negotiation, our senior diplomatic correspondent, Owen Altman, always appreciate your insights.